Want to know what the best weapon mods are right now currently on Riders with the nerfs and the buffs, plus all the brand new mods that came out? Well, today I'm going to tell you guys what are the best mods you need to be looking out for, and you need to keep your eye and on the radar to see when they drop to make sure if that item is, or if that weapon is a keeper, or if you should dismantle it. So let's dive in and take a look at what mods are the most effective and the best ones to look out for when you guys picked up a weapon. So with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the weapon mods and see which ones they are. All right, so let's get started with tier 1. Now, quick note, guys, I'm going to skip all the ones that do toxin, that do burn and do ash, because those are really good, but they're not good until you get to tier 3, which is they get, you know, they get applied every 1 second. So let's get started with the first one, which is this one called Anomaly Search. This is definitely one that you want to be looking out for in case you get it like in that second mod slot, which is going to allow you to do have Anomaly Search. So critical shots spawn an Anomaly Energy Blast that deals 60k damage in 2-meter radius. What's cool about this one is that you're able to do this every 1 second. So that's what makes this mod really effective, because you're being able to do that damage every second, which is really good. One of the most underrated mods that is a level 1, and I think it's extremely powerful for being a level 1, it's Clip Combustion. Basically what this is going to allow you to do, it's going to allow you to reload your weapon, and it's going to create a shock damage that deals 400k plus damage to enemies within a 5-meter radius. The only downside with this one, guys, is I really wish that this was the cooldown time was a little bit shorter. But for a level mod 1 to do this ton of damage is definitely a keeper. Another one I want to recommend, guys, is Critical Point, especially if you guys are running crit builds or if you're playing on console. It's very hard to get crit shots if you're playing on controller as opposed to playing on a mouse and keyboard. This is going to allow you to get those crit shots more even though you're not hitting them, which is Critical Point, which is going to increase the chance of scoring a critical shot by 20%. So really good to get those crit shots, especially for those crit builds that are pretty good. All right, so the other one that I want to talk about, guys, is Essence Thief. This is a really good way if you have a build that you're dying constantly. It's a really one to use because it's pretty much anytime you shoot, you're going to be getting your health back. Moving along here, guys, we have Fireworks. This is pretty good because this has a very short cooldown. It's a 3-second cooldown, and shots create an explosion that deals 100k plus damage to enemies within a 6-meter radius. That's what I love about this one, is that the radius is usually bigger than your typical 5, and it has a very fast cooldown, so it allows you to practice very often. Next up is Fusion Blast, guys. Fusion Blast allows you to create a Fusion Blast that deals 69k damage within a 5-meter radius, and the cooldown of this one is the thing that I love the most. It is a 1.5, so that means you're going to be able to generate this constantly over and over. The next one I want to recommend, guys, is Shield Medallion, which I already have here in this pistol that we're looking at. Basically, shots generate shield. Really important because this every single shot that you do, your shield's going to be active. If you don't have a shield, you're going to have an active shield. So a very good mod to have. As long as you're shooting, your shield's going to be constantly up. All right, now onto tier number 2. Now, tier number 2, guys, we're going to start off with the first one. The first one's actually pretty good, called Anomaly Enhancement. You're going to receive passive firepower boost equal to 40% of your anomaly power. Basically, if you're running an anomaly build and you're using a weapon with that anomaly build, this is going to help you quite a lot. It's going to let you boost that firepower based on your anomaly power, so a really good one to have as long as you have the right proper build. One that we fell in love with in the vanilla Outriders and also in one of the previous DLC was Bone Shrapnel. Bone Shrapnel is pretty good. It requires critical shots, but critical shots, when they're done, it's going to detonate the enemy's bones. It's going to deal 295k plus damage, and on top of that, inflict bleed to enemies within a 5-meter radius. You're able to proc this every 3 seconds, which is what I love. Another one I want to recommend, guys, is Claymore. Claymore is definitely really dope. And as we get to the tier 3 mods, you're going to notice that these get improved. So I'm just going to briefly go through them once we get to them. But this is a really good one. Claymore shots damage an enemy with an anomaly blade, dealing 355k plus damage for 2 seconds. This is what I love. Fast cooldown, fast damage, allowing you to get that damage over and over and over constantly. Definitely a plus in my book. The next one is Damage Link, guys. Damage Link is definitely one that helps you a lot for mobbing. Basically, the shots are going to link up to 4 enemies. Each were going to be sharing 30% of their weapon damage dealt and 50% of their anomaly damage dealt. So basically, if you're firing a weapon and you're running an anomaly build, this is going to be doing exponential work, and it's going to be extremely potent. So you're definitely going to want to make sure you pick this one up. Next one we're going to be talking about is Death Chains, guys. Death Chains is actually a really good level 2 mod, especially if you guys are beginners and starting off the game. If you get this one, you're going to be able to do 500k damage every 3 seconds, and all you got to do is shoot. You don't have to do critical shots. You don't have to do anything of that. Just as long as you're shooting every 3 seconds, you're going to be doing this amount of damage, which is for a level 2 mod, that's actually pretty dope. Now, I'm going to mention this one just because if you guys are running a crit build, this is almost like a must-have, which is Gravedigger Frenzy, which critical shots are going to increase your critical damage by 30% for 3 seconds. Really important, really effective, especially for bossing. If you're able to land those crit shots, this is definitely a must-have in your arsenal. Another that we're going to be talking about, this is mostly class dependent for anybody that's running twisted rounds or anomaly rounds in any work. This is actually one I want to mention just because this is going to allow you to instantly replenish your magazine if you kill an enemy with 35% less of your ammo. So it's a very good, effective way and a backup to have to get that anomaly ammo constantly. All right, Storm Whip is another really good level 2 mod that I want to recommend. It does a ton of damage and its cooldown is every 3 seconds. It basically calls down lightning to an enemy, dealing 453. The level 3 mod's a lot better, but I did want to mention it just so you guys know when we get to level 3. All right, one that we want to be talking about, guys, is called Bombs Ahead. This is basically really good because this means that whenever you kill someone, killing shots will turn enemies into anomaly bomb, dealing 370k damage. Really effective as long as you put it with the proper mods. Not my personal favorite, but it's still a mod that I like to recommend just because of the fast cooldown. 2 seconds is actually pretty good, so you basically will be killing people every 2 seconds, so this makes it pretty effective. So every time you kill them with your weapon, you're going to be causing that explosion. Next, guys, is Claymore Turn, which we talked a little bit earlier when we saw the level 2 mod. Level 3 mod is even better because it has a slower cooldown, and you still get that 443 damage, which is really good. One that I used to recommend, which this one, but this one actually got nerfed to the ground, so it's no longer worth you using this one, so we're just going to skip right through it. Another one that I've been messing around with that's actually pretty good, especially if you're running crit builds, guys, is Deadly Disturbance. Basically, what this is going to do, you don't even have to kill anybody, you just have to shoot them and get a crit shot. Once you shoot someone with the crit shot, it's going to cost pretty much cause an anomaly effect on that enemy, and when they're going to explode and they're going to deal 530k damage plus, which is really, really good. And the radius is pretty good and the cooldown is pretty fast. So this is definitely one that you guys got to play with if you haven't so already. Now, one thing I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, no, Laser, it's doo-doo, which is the death rate. Trust me, guys, you're probably not using this correctly. I'll have a separate video kind of going over this particular mod and how effective it is. But basically what this does is when you aim down sight, you're going to form an anomaly beam, right? So that's going to deal 98k damage to the enemy. The cool thing about this is that you're able to do this every 3 seconds. So basically, if you just kind of hold down your trigger and you just kind of aim it back, it's like a laser gun. It's actually pretty dope. And it's a little bit underrated, but it's actually really good. There's a build that I put together that makes this really awesome. So you're definitely going to want to check that out. One that it's really effective, guys, is this Throne. This one's actually really good. The reason why this is so good is because if you're running Pyromancer, Technomancer, if you're running any of these characters that have a fast spamming ability and you're constantly going on cooldown every single time, this is going to be really awesome because it's going to boost your firepower and your anomaly power. Basically what this does is that when your skills are on cooldown, you're going to receive 91k plus firepower bonus. In addition to that, you're going to receive 82k bonus of anomaly power. So really, really, really good and effective. It bounces back and forth, but still, that's pretty awesome. Now, I would definitely not have added this prior to the nerfs, but this is, a lot of other ones got nerfed. This is definitely getting put here in the arsenal, which is the Dimensional Rockets. This is a brand new mod, part of the Worldslayer. And critical shots are going to fire 4 rockets into the direction of 4 of the closest enemies. And each rocket, you heard that correctly, right? Each rocket will deal 500k. So think about 500k. That's what, guys? 2 million just off those rockets, as long as you're getting those crit shots, and you're doing this every 2 seconds. That is nutty and that is crazy. Now, this one I want to add for your console players out there, guys, Embalmer's Rage. This is actually pretty good because what this does is for every crit shot that you land, the next following shots will be critical shots, even if they're not critical shots. And you're able to do this every 6 seconds. It's pretty good. Not like my top tier one, but I always want to put it out there for you console players out there. Now, definitely the goat of all goats, guys, is this one, Firestorm. This is definitely one of the best ones. I think it's actually going to get nerfed, or they're going to increase how the cooldown on this, because this is extremely OP. Firestorm. Successful shots will summon a big ray, kind of like the Hammer of Dawn from Gears of War, that's going to come down on an enemy and deal 1.2 million damage plus. The cool thing about this, guys, is this actually tracks the enemy. It's extremely powerful and definitely the one that you need. If you're looking for like one that you need to get, this is it. Even though this one got nerfed to the ground, guys, Fortress is still really good because you're still going to be able to proc and get more weapon damage and more anomaly damage by this one. And anything that enhances that, I'm for. The cool thing I like about this is how fast it actually goes on cooldown. So I really like Fortress. I'm kind of sad that it got nerfed, but it's still pretty good. All right, so the other one we're going to be talking about, guys, is Grand Opening. This one got nerfed before. You were able to shoot it and reload and shoot it and reload, shoot and reload, and get that. This now they apply a cooldown every 2 seconds. It's still not bad, but every time you're landing that first bullet, it's what messes this up, because you know you kind of have to go get that reload going to get that Grand Opening every single time. So It's okay, but not like in my top tier. I just want to mention it. I know a lot of you guys relied on this one a lot, so just in case you were considering putting it in your arsenal. Healing Spree is another really good one to have, guys, especially running a crit build or you're using a weapon build. It's actually pretty good because killing shots increase the damage by 10% for the weapon for 8 seconds. That's a very long period, and it does have a bonus duration with time, and it stacks this with 3 times, which is actually after 3 kills, which is actually pretty good. A very underrated mod, guys, is Kinetic Stomp. Now, Kinetic Stomp, guys, is actually pretty good because what this is going to do, it's going to shoot, every time you shoot the weapon, it's going to create a seismic shock around you that deals 700 plus K damage in 5 meters for 4 seconds. Really effective, really powerful, and you definitely got to put this in your arsenal. One of my favorite, especially paired with the right mods, you're going to be doing upwards of 3 million damage easily. All right, so now to one of my personal favorites, guys, is Moaning Winds. Even though it got nerfed because everybody was crying about the way you were using this, now it's actually fixed. It's going to allow you to reload your weapon, and for every 8 seconds, you're able to proc 1.3 million damage with that reload, which is pretty good. One thing I love about Moaning Winds is how big the radius is. Usually it's like they usually do 5 meters. 8 meter radius is actually pretty dope for Moaning Winds, so definitely a really top tier mod here. The next one, guys, we're going to talk about is Omen. This is actually a pretty good one, which is a Worldslayer one. It says shots launch a cover piercing anomaly projectile that inflicts bleed. All right, so you're inflicting bleed, and that projectile is going to deal 397k damage and applies a status that increases the damage received by 10%, which is really good because it anomaly builds, bleed build. This is definitely a really popular one. Omen is definitely one of my personal favorites. One that we gotta mention, guys, and it's still really good even from back then to now, is Radiation Splash. Basically, guys, reloading your weapon will cause a small explosion that is going to inflict vulnerable, and on top of inflicting vulnerable, it's going to deal almost 1 million damage to the enemies within 5 meter radius. I mean, they should make this 8 so it can be perfect with Moaning Winds, but this is definitely a very, very powerful mod. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about, guys, is Ravenous Locust. This is actually pretty good. There's an old mod, but the cool thing about this, guys, is now that this one, and you don't need crit shots, you don't need anything, it's just shots. Every time you shoot the weapon, every 6 seconds, you're going to be doing 840 plus damage, K damage. And on top of that, you're going to be inflicting weakness. Is a really, really good mod, and you definitely got to look for when that comes out. All right, so now let's talk about Sandstorm. This is actually a really good one, and this is definitely one that I was looking so forward to picking up when the game first came out, and didn't use it that much, but this time I'm actually going to be using it, and it's actually pretty powerful. 700 plus K damage, guys, every 5 seconds. Yes, definitely a must. All right, now Shadow Comet, guys. Shadow Comet is definitely one of my favorite, guys. 400, almost 500k damage, guys, and it's going to call down the comets. In addition to that, guys, you're going to be doing this every 3 seconds. That's what makes this really powerful, is the cooldown. If this was 5, I would be like, nah, let's skip it. 3 seconds is actually pretty good. I wish it was 2, but 3 seconds is pretty dope. Now, I would definitely add Singularity as one of the top tier mods. I just don't feel like, I feel like the cooldown on this one is too long. It should be every 4 seconds. But basically, I just wanted to mention in case you do get it and want to mess around with it. Anytime you kill someone, it's going to create an anomaly, and it's going to do almost 1 million damage for every 6 seconds. Really good, but I do think the cooldown needs to be lowered. All right, now the one that we're going to mention, guys, is String of Guts. Now, this is pretty dope because this is going to link up to 5 different enemies in 10 meter radius, okay? Now, the target is going to be damaged by 400k damage of electrical damage. The thing I love about this is that you're able to proc this every single 2 seconds. It is crazy good. One thing we got to mention, guys, is Ultimate Anomaly Search. This is pretty much critical shots spawn an anomaly energy blast that deals 500k plus damage, 2 meters. The cool thing I love about this one is the fast cooldown every 3 seconds. Definitely one that you need to have in your arsenal. All right, so we're going to go real quick on these ones because these are pretty much the same ones from tier 2 mods. So basically, any bullet that allows you to apply status effects is really good in my book. But you're definitely going to want to be looking for Ultimate Bone Shrapnel number 3. This is going to make it more damage and less cooldown. You also want to be looking for this one, Ultimate Damage Link, because we did recommend that one. Ultimate Freezing Bullets. Ultimate Storm Whip. These are going to give you faster cooldowns and more damage, especially if they're level 3 mods. So you're definitely going to want to be looking out for these 3, and those are really good. Another one that I want to recommend is this one, guys, Vulnerable. If you can apply Vulnerable every single time for every single shot, it's going to make the enemy more like a marshmallow and allow you to do even more damage. So this is a really good mod to have. The next one I want to recommend, guys, is Violent Rupture, which is going to pretty much allow it to create like a volcano explosion that's going to deal 700k damage. within a 6-meter radius for every 5 seconds. If it was shorter cooldown, it would be extremely OP, but it's still a really good mod to have, especially if you guys are trying to proc as much anomaly or much damage as you possibly can. So really, really good one here. And we also want to recommend Weakness Trap. The cool thing I like about this one is not only does it deal damage, but it also inflicts weakness, and it deals up to 400k more damage. So those are the ones you guys want to definitely look out for, guys, because these are really, really powerful. And last but not least, guys, is we have the Wrath of Moloch, which critical hits caused an explosion dealing 400k damage. They should have just made it 500, right? The cool thing I like about this one is that it does two things. Not only does it do that damage, but it also inflicts burn, and it does it for a wide radius of 5-meter radius and a very slow cooldown, which is definitely what I like to see with these type of mods. Overall, in general, guys, those are the best weapon mods and the ones I recommend you definitely look out for. If there's one that I didn't mention that you were like, Laser, why didn't you mention this one? Let me know in the comment section down below so we can discuss and talk about why I didn't mention it, or why do you think I should actually consider one of the best mods. If you guys want to put awesome builds together, you want to know how to level up, if you want to know how to do all this cool stuff in Outriders, check out these videos that are popping up right now on the screen, guys. You guys won't be disappointed. We have a ton of really good coverage here for all your needs, whether you be a Pyromancer, Technomancer, Trickster, Devastator. We got you covered. Make sure you keep it locked. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on all your notifications, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.